Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Babi and you are currently watching Babi's Guide for Europa Universalis IV. So first and foremost, there are going to be related guides to this video. Make sure to check those out in the description, is a link to those. Now let me start with a quote. The sinews of war are infinite money by Kikero, and he is right. The same goes for Europa Universalis IV, where the sinews of war are infinite money. What do we need to wage war, other than men? We need a lot of money. After all, money can buy swords, and swords can bring us victory. Now, if we go to the top left of the screen, if you haven't noticed yet, you see some coins and a value. This is our treasury. If we hover over it, like most stuff in the game, we get a breakdown of this particular value. At the moment, we have a treasury of 222.55, so this is more detailed than the number that is shown over here. And we have a monthly balance of 12.59. Now, right here, you see three values that are highlighted green, and those are taxation, production, and trade. The reason they are green is because it is a positive number. It is income. It is money we gain. And we have two expenses, which are coincidentally your two primary sources of expenses, if that even makes sense. It's going to be the most common sources of expenses. It's army maintenance and fleet maintenance. Those numbers are highlighted in red, the values. And there's a minus sign before them because it's an expense, of course. Now, you notice something here. If we add all the green numbers to one another and we subtract them by the red numbers, or at least without the negative sign, we get the balance that is shown at the top. But we can get a more detailed view of this by clicking on the coat of arms here, next to your country name. This is going to be the coat of arms of your nation, and right here we have an overview of our country. Now, we see a sack or two sacks with some coins. By the way, the currency in the game is ducats, so I'm going to refer to coins as ducats from here on. But we can click on that, and then it's going to open us the economy screen. Let's see. If we hover over it, we also see that the shortcut for this particular section is 3. We can use it for most sections here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's just, I honestly don't use this too often, but if you want to be if you like using your keyboard for some reason, do that. Learn them by heart, but it's not priority. Anyway, we have a breakdown of our income shown right here. And we have a breakdown of our expenses shown right here. Don't be afraid. These numbers might seem intimidating. I don't know. I don't think so, honestly. There's not that much shown. And it might all seem weird because it is to you, of course. But it's not really so weird. If we take the total of our income and we subtract it by the amount of ducats we lose each month, our expenses, we get our balance. That makes sense, of course. This value, both income, expenses, and thereby also the balance, are all going to be updated monthly. The amount of money that you lose and the amount of money that you gain are also updated monthly. So let's see. The balance is updated monthly. If I increase the speed right here by clicking on the plus or using the plus button on the keyboard, and on pausing the game by pressing spacebar or clicking this clock right here, alternatively use the pause key, we reach the end of the month. And did you hear that sound? Yeah, it sounded like money. And that is right. Money just entered our treasury. It is actually the value that is shown right here, the balance that went into our treasury. This is the amount of money that we gained, And we can check it by hovering right here, or alternatively by checking the economy screen, which is going to be more detailed, of course. And we see that the value has changed, and that is mostly because of trade value updating. But there you go. You see that values change monthly, but the money was added to our treasury, so that means that we now have more money. Now, I'm going to talk about the two of the three primary sources of income, taxation and production. I'm going to leave trade for another day, but I want to talk about taxation and production. Now, if I hover over here, I see a breakdown of all kind of names and a value behind that. Now, for example, Huda Vendagar shows us 0.58, but what the hell does this mean? Well, this means that that particular province gives us that amount of money. Well, in the tax category, anyway. We can check that also by going into that particular province. Huda Vendagar is situated over here. And if we click on that province with the left mouse button, of course, we see a breakdown of the province. We see a lot of stuff. Again, don't be too intimidated. You don't need to look at most stuff. But what's going to be really important for your tax is going to be this side of the screen of the province overview. Damn it keeps scrolling. If we hover over here, we see tax, and we see a breakdown. We see base, 7, and tax income efficiency. These are the two factors that determine your tax income from this particular province. So we see base 7. What does this mean? Well, if we go over here, we see the base value of your province. This value differs greatly from or between province and province. If I go to Kutayev, for example, we see that it's 5. And what does this number represent? Well, it more or less represents the population density in an area and the value of the land. If we, for example, go into the steppes where there's not a lot of people living and the terrain is quite desolate, we see that the base tax is a lot lower. We see a value of 2. Well, this is not a desert. But if we go over here, we see a value of 1. That is really low. So yeah, we see that base tax varies a lot. There's going to be higher numbers than this. There's going to be lower numbers than this. And more often than not, these values are going to stay the same. Now, over the course of the game, it's going to change a bit, but it's not going to change drastically. What is going to change drastically is your tax income. So to elaborate more upon that, we hover over the tax income again. Now, we see that we have a tax income efficiency of 100%. 100% times 7 is 7. Hence, our income of 7 tax. But if we go to another province, for example, Vidin, we see that we have less tax income than the base tax right here, too. And we have the tax income of 1.26. Why is this? Well, it is because the tax income efficiency is not optimal. As a matter of fact, it's 63 for this province. If we hover over here again, we see a breakdown and we see exactly why this is. We have local autonomy, which is shown right here. And this is better saved for another video. But if you hover over here, you see what this exactly does. It changes your trade power, your production, your tax, and so on and so on. It's going to be nasty if you have a lot of autonomy. This represents the amount of power that the local populace has over themselves, the self-governance. But I guess you all know the meaning of autonomy. And then we also have the value intolerance. And intolerance is your nation's attitude towards the people residing in one province. For example, in Vidin here, we have Orthodox people living, and they are of the Bulgarian culture. Now, Bulgarian is highlighted in green, which means they are accepted. There's no intolerance towards those people in particular. But Orthodox is shown in red, which means they are viewed as heathens, and they are not tolerated too much because our country is Sunni. That's where the intolerance value comes from. So all these values, there we go. All these values added together make up the tax income efficiency. This is mostly changed by static modifiers and active modifiers, stuff like that, from events, decisions, and these are things I'm going to discuss later on, but think about buildings, infrastructure, stuff like that. It's all going to change the tax income efficiency, and this is one of those that you can easily change over the course of the game, and it's more often than not going to be this. It's going to differ a lot over the course of the game. Then we have production, which is one of those two dependable sources of income, although it is less dependable than tax, as most provinces in Europe. This can greatly differ, though, if you go to the Americas. It's going to be the other way around, for example, but production is not going to be as valuable as taxation. But production is made up of certain stuff. Right here we see production efficiency again, although this is not the same as taxation efficiency. Right here we see a value of plus 10%, and if we go back to tax, we see 100%. So this cannot go under a value of 100%. It can, however, well, that is not necessarily true, but it can be above 100%. There's some nasty stuff that changes this, but no more than not, you're going to be over 100% production efficiency. But we have an extra efficiency of plus 20%, determined by our production efficiency and technology. That is funny. If we go over here, we see that some kind of modifier changes our amount of goods produced. Now, I'm not going to go too much in depth about that. We'll stay rather superficial here. But the main factor that makes up the production value of a province is the production good. Might not sound as come surprisingly, but if we go over here at the right bottom, we can see what kind of goods are produced in this province. And in this particular province, cloth is being produced, and cloth has a current price of 3. It also shows you a very nice history breakdown in the tooltip, but yeah, that's more for flavor than anything else. If we go to another province, we see different trade goods. Now, these are coincidentally also 3, but let's see. Grain, for example, is going to be 2 ducats a month. So there you see that it differs a lot. And if we go to the breakdown here, we see that autonomy again has nasty effects on this. And the production efficiency is not as efficient over here, and that is also because of autonomy. Autonomy changes the efficiency, and it changes the it changes the production efficiency, and local autonomy also decreases your production income. So yeah, overall we can kind of determine that autonomy is not good for your province's income. But those two values are added together, and we get a nice total here. And as with tax, we can increase production directly by building buildings, and there's something else that actually changes the production, and that is again the production goods that we have, the goods that are produced in the province. For this province, it is grain, and the current price is 2, as we saw before. But this price it changes, it fluctuates. If the demand is going to rise, the price is going to be higher, and if the demand is going to decline, then of course the price is going to plummet as well. Now, the demand for certain goods is going to be triggered by modifiers, and these modifiers come from events, stuff that just happens. And over the course of the game, you're going to have a lot of events, and we'll see those in further videos. But for now, I hope you have a clear view of what taxation and production is about. It should be a lot clearer right now. And I think that next we are going to talk about trade, but I'm not too sure about that. Just as a tip here, go over, select any nation. Probably bigger nations is a better idea. Just go around, snoop around, go into the provinces, just check the values of production and tax. I encourage you to do that and just read up on it, and you know, you'll get used to those values and you see what determines those stuff. And you're going to have a better understanding. So, yeah, if that was of great help, please leave a like, it helps me out. Share this video to people that are not as novice in Europa Universalis as you are. Or, yeah, just to help other people out. And I encourage you to stay around. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good one. Cheers.